Welcome, Army fans. This is Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com with the post-game analysis of UMass versus Army today, October 28th, 2023, at Mikey Stadium at West Point. The final score was UMass 21, Army 14, and honestly, the game was way worse than the score. Army has performed poorly on occasion this year. The 62-0 drubbing at LSU last week, certainly no exception to that. Today was the worst I've seen him look. Today was probably the worst football game, worst execution. We'll start there. I won't comment on a lot of the other stuff, but worst execution and worst play calling that I've seen in a football game, definitely in an Army football game in at least 7 or 8 years. North Texas in 2016 comes to mind when we fumbled like 7 times. The drubbing at Duke in 2015. I'm sure there were some games in 2014. This really reminded me of a Todd Berry coach team from 2003. Here's some stats. We'll go through some stats first. So Army actually had the same number of first downs as UMass, 19. We're 6 for 12 on third down, 2 for 4 on fourth down. We'll get to one of those in a minute. Army was actually had 10 more total yards than UMass, which is surprising. I think a lot of those came in the second half. Army outpassed UMass 158 to 121. Shocker there. Army ran for 204 yards, so not awful there. But Army gave up 231 yards rushing. We'll dig into that in a minute as well. Mostly all to one player. Penalties, Army only committed 1 for 12 yards. As Jeff Monken has said for a long time, penalties have nothing to do with winning or losing. I wish people would stop talking about that as an important factor. Army's committed less penalties this year than at any time in Monken's tenure, and they're awful. So there's that. And of course, the turnover battle. Army loses the turnover battle 3-0. There's a lot to break down in this game. Unfortunately, none of it's good. I really don't have MVPs for Army. We're going to get to the offense in a minute because there's plenty to dissect and talk about there. But if we look at the defense, specifically the run defense, UMass running back K'Ron Lynch-Adams ran 34 times for 234 yards, 6.9 yards per carry average, 3 touchdowns, and a long of 34 yards. He basically did whatever he wanted to do to the Army defense. The UMass offensive line owned the Army front seven all day long. They couldn't get off of blocks. As Coach Monken said at halftime, they weren't fitting the runs right. Every time he broke it to the outside, he went for big yardage. Army kids were taking atrocious angles to get to the ball. It was the worst display of run defense I ever remember. Lynch-Adams did absolutely anything he wanted. And, oh, by the way, on the few occasions when Army players were there to make a stop, they left their feet and didn't make a tackle. So you have that. I know people are going to say, well, the defense was on the field too long because the offense isn't moving the ball. Okay, fair enough. But guess what? Even in the past, last year, some previous years where the offense wasn't dominant, the defense was at least able to get off the field. The defense, sorry, Army defense 2023, you don't get off the hook because the offense is bad. Because they're awful. The offense and the defense are both awful. Today, what we saw were 2 of the worst teams in Division 1A FBS going at it, and both teams trying to lose the game and give it to the other team. The shocking thing was Army was down 13-7 at halftime. UMass's kicker couldn't hit the ocean with a football and missed an extra point and I believe 2 field goals. Army's going in to score on their first scoring drive in 3 weeks, and Bryson Daly fumbles the ball. UMass recovers it on the 2-yard line. So it looks like once again, Army will be held out of the end zone. But oh no, UMass has 12 players on the field, so Army manages to score. Some more great defense and great play by both of these 2 outstanding teams. No sarcasm here. Army's down 13-7 at halftime. Couldn't stop the run. Really couldn't stop the pass. They did keep passing plays in front of them, but Pamachu had a great game. Really, I think he threw about 75%. And most importantly, UMass didn't turn the ball over. A couple times UMass put it on the ground and Army failed to recover it because no one's within 5 yards of the football. There's a shock. I really don't know what to say about Army's front seven defensively. They can't get off a block. They can't fit a run. They can't defend the pass. They can't put pressure on the quarterback. And we're not playing LSU, folks. This is against UMass. And they really can't seem to do anything right. At this point, I'm not really sure what the answers are for the defense. I don't think Nate Woody's a bad defensive coordinator. I think he gets them in the right plays. I literally don't think they execute. And the level of talent on our front seven has had a serious drop off in the last 2 to 3 years. If you look at our linebackers, I'm not going to name names, but go back 2, 3, 4, 5 years and look at where we are today. There's absolutely no comparison. All right, so I'm done beating on the defense. Now it's time for the offense. Oh, the Army offense, which hasn't been able to put points up in 3 weeks, finally managed to score 2 touchdowns against UMass. One at the end of the game when they were in a prevent defense, which, as I always say, prevent the field goal, give up the touchdown. That's exactly what UMass did. If we're looking at offense, got a lot to say there. Let me talk about it. Champ Harris, statistically, a good game through the air. 5 for 7 passing for 92 yards for a 13.1 average. No interceptions, which was nice. He did do a good job on that last scoring drive, and he had that really nice run where he ran for a touchdown. Army did run the ball decently today. 42 carries for 204 yards for a 4.9 average. I thought Bryson Daly did a good job running the ball. I thought Terrell Robinson did a great job running the ball. And Kanye Udo, once again, proved to be the best player on the Army team as a freshman with 15 carries for 76 yards for a 5.1 average, no touchdowns. Here's the question I have for the offensive staff. Why did you take the ball out of Udo's hands? 15 carries, 76 yards. Guess what, guys? If you would have given him 25 carries, he would have had 125 yards. I've been as nice to this offensive staff as I can be. I've been as patient as I can be. The bottom line is this offense just isn't working. And I don't even think it's the scheme. I think it's the play calling. Bad play calls at bad times, putting Army offensive players in bad positions and inability to execute. This one isn't so much on the players on offense as it is on the coaches. 4th and 2 at the UMass 7-yard line in the third quarter, down 2 touchdowns. The game is still very well within reach. Trust me, UMass tried to do everything they could to lose this game. 4th and 2 at the 7. UMass defense had shown no ability to stop Udo or Daly on power runs up the middle. What do? Let's throw a play action pass to Tyson Riley like we've got Pat Mahomes back there throwing to Travis Kelce, because that makes sense. Because Bryson Daly went 3 for 13 throwing the ball for a whopping 28 yards. 4th and 2. We have Buchanan. We have Udo. We have Daly. We can't run the ball for 2 yards? No, let's throw a play action pass. Oh, by the way, I will say, early in that play, Tyson Riley was open, but that takes a very skilled quarterback to be able to get the ball out on time before the D-back caught up to him, which Daly isn't. Not in throwing the ball anyway. Bryson Daly's a tough kid. He's a good runner, but he can't throw the ball, which is why I don't understand why we threw the ball 13 times to include the entire first drive of the fourth quarter when Army's down 2 touchdowns. And we're throwing the ball all over the place. Again, like we got Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes back there. We got Bryson Daly, who's a great runner, not a great passer. Great may be a stretch. He's a good runner. Still plenty of time left in the game. 14 minutes, down 2 scores. Run the ball. Army football's identity is allegedly still running the ball. We're supposed to run the ball 75% of the time. Didn't do it there. Kind of abandoned the run at the end of the third quarter. And I'm not sure why. Because Udo and Daly were beating up the UMass defense. Our offensive line was getting good push. Were they going for 20 and 30 yards at a clip like that Lynch Adams kid? No. But they were getting 4 to 5 yards a clip, which would have been plenty to drive down the field, get 2 scores, and tie the game up. Doesn't happen. End of the game, UMass tries to lose it again. Kid's helmet comes off. 3 seconds left. Army gets one more shot at the lateral play. We almost make it happen. Get stopped short a little bit there on that one, but that's not why the game was lost. Again, lose the turnover battle 3-0. Army's not going to beat anyone losing the turnover battle 3-0. Go back. How many games this year has Army lost the turnover battle? Most of them. That's why they're 2-6. And they're losing the turnover battle, in my humble opinion, because they're throwing the ball when they don't need to throw the ball with quarterbacks who can't pass and receivers who can't get open. And so what ends up happening is Bryson Daly chucks it up for grabs and it gets picked off when Army's running the ball just fine. I don't know what to say. I can't give this offensive staff any more leeway and any more patience. The play calling has been absolutely horrific, and it's how you get 14 points in 3 weeks. I don't care who they were playing. This week they were playing maybe the worst defense in all of D1 college football. Something's got to change. I don't know what. I really am just frustrated. Army has to go on the road to Denver. I think technically they might be the home team in that game against Air Force next week. I'll be shocked if they score against Air Force. Air Force is going to shut Army down and shut them out. This offense is predictable. It's boring. It doesn't do anything exciting. It doesn't hold on to the ball. It doesn't keep the defense off the field. They can run the ball. Kanye Udo is a talented kid. Bryson Daly is a talented inside runner. The offensive line, to some degree, can block for inside runs. But they seem to want to keep going to the air as if they're doggone USC or Colorado. I can't explain it. I really cannot explain it, folks. Let's look at the play breakdown. See, threw the ball 21 times and ran the ball 42 times. So 67%, 2-to-1 ratio. Supposed to be 3-to-1. 3-to-1 probably would have gotten another touchdown and probably would have at least tied the game. Again, plenty of blame to go around on this one. Defense, we're looking at you too. Right now, you haven't shown the ability to stop anyone. Special teams, normally stellar. Cooper Allen gets off a 4-yard punt, followed by whatever happened on the next punt where UMass ran a stunt and we couldn't block it, and Cooper Allen had to take off with the ball. That's become an adventure. The normally reliable Quinn Moretsky missed a 49-yard field goal. Not going to pick on him for that. That may be a little out of his range. It was on the right hash. He missed it wide left. Quinn Moretsky's still a good kicker. So is Cole Talley. But the special teams looked awful today too. All 3 phases of the game. Army also looks listless and uninspired right now. I don't know what Jeff Monken needs to do to right the ship, but he better figure it out quickly. Because this is not the same team that went into San Antonio on Friday night, the 2nd week of the season, or 3rd week of the season, and beat a very good UTSA team 37-29. I don't know where that team is, but I haven't seen them in about 3 or 4 weeks. That's all I've got, Army fans. Unless something changes quick, expect another whipping next week against Air Force. I really don't see this team winning another game this season. Tell me what you think. Tell me if I got it wrong. Tell me if you think there's hope, if we could be doing something differently. If you are seeing the same team that you saw at UTSA, but maybe just breaks aren't going their way or something. I don't really know. I don't have the solutions clearly. It's tough for the guys making the decisions to come up with the solutions. But whatever this has been, this isn't it, and they better figure it out fast. And today Army officially became ineligible for bowl qualification. For Go Black Knights, this has been Joe Iacono. Beat Navy.